Well, hello, and welcome again to the 2012fad.com. I will be your host for this evening, and my name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night we talked about hate is educational, and how our masters, they can't evolve, they don't even want to try. They refuse to even try, well, to make themselves better, to change, to be different. But see, the problem, of course, is our masters, junior management, in the corporation known as Hate Inc. Their point of view is hate is good. Hate is joy. Hate is happiness. It's the difference between, well, frankly, good and evil. Our masters, junior management, their outlook on life is so alien to anything that you and I could possibly begin to comprehend that there is no meeting of the minds possible between our masters and us. I mean, most of my education in this existence, I can't say life because at the age of 53, I've still never lived. It's been an educational experience because hate is a wonderful education tool. I've learned more from hate than, well, actually, I pretty much learned everything I know from encountering hate over and over and again. I've learned very little about kindness or joy or love or happiness, except, frankly, from my cats or my dogs. That's the only place I've really ever known love or compassion or kindness. Isn't that sad? I cannot say that I've ever known any real love from another human being. And, well, that's actually tragic. Hate is educational. There's just no way around it. And I've learned so much about our masters and their servants and their servants' slaves. We need to learn something else. There's got to be a better way to educate ourselves than this. And so tonight I thought we might chat about recovery, arrest a banker. Now it fascinates me when I listen to professionals talk about the current, well, again, tragedy we find ourselves in. And I heard a rumor the other day, and I actually honestly haven't had the stomach to look it up to see if it's true, that Obama, the finger puppet, actually went on television and said that the reason we're in this terrible, terrible, horrific situation is bad luck. Now, when I think of Obama, the finger puppet, and I think of his place in the corporate structure of Hate Inc., I see Obama as the guy, the mental retard, frankly, working in the mailroom. Now, there's no, working in the mailroom is very important. But if it's the only job you could get because, well, frankly, you're stupid, that's tragedy. That's tragic. A man who's, 50 years old, something, and the best job he can get is working in the mailroom, and then he still can't do his job well. I think of Obama as the guy working in the mailroom because he delivers the messages of his masters, what you and I would consider junior management, which is very high above the finger puppet Obama. But if he actually said that, if Obama, the finger puppet, the guy from the mailroom, actually said on television that we're in this situation because of bad luck, well, I think it's time you and I grew up. It's really simple. You're walking down the street, some guy comes out of the shadows, pulls a gun, sticks the gun into your ribs and says, "Give me your money and your jewelry, or I'll blow your brains out." Well, the logical thing to do is, if you've never been trained to, for this kind of violence, give him your money, give him your jewelry, give him what he wants. What do you do then? Well, traditionally you call a cop. You tell the cops, "Hey, I've been robbed. I want you to catch the guy. I want my money back." We're living in a situation that is not bad luck. We have been robbed. They didn't use a gun, at least on us. It's a con. It's a shell game. We've been conned. So, what do we do to get our lives back, our country back, our world back? Well, first thing we have to do is, the euphemism is stimulate the economy. Well, to stimulate the economy, you need something called money. Our money has been stolen. We have been conned out of all of our money by our masters. It's a con. Money has not vanished from the earth. Money has not taken a holiday and gone to Mars. Money has not moved to Venus. The money is here. The money that's been stolen from you, from I, is here. It's in the possession of the bankers, the Wall Street guys, the brokers, and to a smaller extent the politicians, who are simply, again, finger puppets. Well, to stimulate the economy, you need money. In the United States, we have something called the RICO Act. It's a law that our masters brought into being a couple of decades ago with the express purpose of stealing money from us. The RICO Act, theoretically, at least what the public relations campaign around the RICO Act said was, we suspect that you're a criminal, which in the United States being a criminal is a joke because we're governed by criminals, but okay. The RICO Act was the government's legitimizing stealing money from us. Now, bear in mind, they just came in and said, we think you're a crook, we're taking everything you own. We're taking your savings accounts, we're taking your bank accounts, we're taking your home, your car, your jewelry, everything, on suspicion. The RICO Act did not require charges being filed against you in court. The RICO Act did not require that you go to court. The RICO Act did not require that you were found guilty in court. The RICO Act, under the laws of the United States of America Incorporated, all it required is somebody in government had a suspicion that you're a crook, you're a thief. They can't prove it, but they're going to take all of your money anyway and give it to the government. Guess what? The RICO Act still exists. Let's think about that for a second. There is a law currently on the books of the United States of America Incorporated that says that if I think you're a crook, I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to take you to court. I don't have to file charges. All I have to do is say, I think you're a crook, which under the laws of the United States of America Incorporated says I can take all your money, and there's nothing you can do about it. I've got a thought. How many millions of Americans are out of work? About 58%. So let's just round it off. There's 150 million Americans out of work right now, out of 300 million. That's conservative, by the way. Well, we know who the robbers are. We know who the cons are. Ben Bernanke, Obama, the Lehman Brothers, the Koch brothers, the Clintons, the Bush family, Bank of America. We know who the thieves are because they brag about it in their own newspapers. They brag about getting $700 million bonuses for robbing us. I have a thought. Out of 150 million unemployed Americans, there are unemployed judges. There are unemployed attorneys. There are unemployed clerks. There are unemployed accountants. There are unemployed bookkeepers. There are unemployed cops. And the reason they're unemployed is because they're honest. The reason they're unemployed is they're hardworking. The reason they're unemployed is because they're knowledgeable. The reason they're unemployed is because they're experienced and they know what should be done. Everything that our masters hate, everything that our masters fear. See, our masters got rid of the people who were a threat to them. They got rid of the people in government who were a threat to them. They got rid of the people in the military who were a threat to them. Anybody who was honest, hardworking, believed in the Constitution, believed in doing what was right, they're unemployed. So it's real easy to find these people. If they're lucky, they still have a home. If they're not lucky, they're living in their cars. But you know what? Under the RICO Act, we can put all those people back to work. Why? Because you and I, we know who the cons are. We know who the crooks are. It's David Rockefeller, Ben Bernanke, Obama, the Bushes, the Clintons, Henry Kissinger, the Lehman Brothers, the Koch brothers, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Citibank, Monsanto. I don't need to tell you this, you already know this. Just as a side note, these people I just mentioned, the bankers, the politicians, the brokers, not one of these people got their jobs because they could do a good job. Not one of these people had to go for a job interview to get these $100 million a year jobs. Not one of them had to prove that they had experience or knowledge to get these jobs. You know how these people got their jobs? Their mommy and their daddy. Their mommy and their daddy had friends. And their mommy and their daddy got them these jobs. And a generation ago, their mommy and daddy, they got their jobs from their mommy and daddy. This is passed down from generation to generation, family to family. These are family businesses working together. Not one of the people that you and I know as a con, a crook, a liar, a thief, and these are polite things to say about them, not one of them gained their position in life because they deserved it. Not one of them has experience or credentials or knowledge to have the jobs they currently have. Not one of them. So of course they're going to fear any of us who actually do know what we're doing, who actually have experience, who actually have knowledge, who actually have worked to achieve the positions we have. That's why they are afraid of us, because we know what to do. See, our masters, junior management, did the same exact thing to us in 1929. They staged a phony depression, and it was all staged. There was no accident. It was not bad luck. The goal was to rob us and to rape us of everything we had and to make us slaves, as we were thousands and thousands of years ago. Junior management is not creative. Junior management, our masters, are not deep thinkers or great thinkers. They just keep doing the same thing over generation after generation. And you know, it works most of the time. We have to grow up. You and I, we have to grow up. We have been on this planet for 2.5 billion years. This has to stop. We have to grow up. So what do? Well, under the Constitution of the United States of America, the constitutional republic, you and I have the right to do what is known as a citizen's arrest. I think you've done something wrong. I, as a citizen of the United States of America, the constitutional republic, not only do I have the right to arrest you as a citizen, under the Constitution, I am required to arrest you. The Constitution of the United States requires us to defend ourselves, our neighbors, our families, and our countries from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Because under the Constitution of the United States of America, the constitutional republic of the United States of America, you and I are solely responsible for the safety and security of not only our nation, but of ourselves, because under the Constitution, you and I are sovereigns. You and I are kings. And we are a king of a nation of one, of ourselves. And we come together as a group of sovereigns, a group of kings and queens, and we say, together we will make our country safe. I am responsible only for myself, but I will work with you shoulder to shoulder. It gets back to I am. I am that I am. I am myself. I am no one else. I own myself. No one owns me. That's what we have to realize. So my suggestion would be, if I might be so bold, get 1 million of your closest friends, all of whom have guns, very peacefully wander over to Washington, D.C. Very peacefully. And you should all, before you go, print out a copy of the Constitution of the United States of America, which, by the way, the bankers, the politicians, our masters, have declared is an act of terrorism. Should you be found with a copy of the U.S. Constitution on you, or should you quote the U.S. Constitution to any government official, you are automatically considered a terrorist. So probably keep the Constitution to yourself, but every night you should read it to each other, discuss it, talk about it, learn it. But 1 million of your friends who are out of work and have guns, take a walk to Washington, D.C. Once you're there, citizens arrest. You know who to arrest. You don't need me to tell you. Then, under the RICO Act, you can seize their bank accounts. Make sure you check their trust funds as well. A trust fund is a way for very wealthy people to hide their money, to hide the ownership of their money. David Rockefeller is penniless. Strangely, though, he has several trust funds, as do all these rich people. That's millions, trillions of dollars. But David Rockefeller, on paper, to the public, is a penniless pauper. This is where the RICO Act comes in. Seize David Rockefeller, arrest him, be polite, be respectful, be courteous. Don't destroy anything, don't threaten anyone. Only use your gun in defense, never attack. And it's really, really, really important. Don't hate anybody. This is not a religious thing, it's not a moral thing, this is physics. The moment you hate someone, they have power over you. Hate no one. Do what needs to be done. Obey the law. Know the Constitution. Only do what the Constitution says you have the right to do. We're sort of fudging with the RICO Act because this was a law created by our masters to hurt us. So we're actually using their law against them. So we're going to fudge on that one a little. Hate no one. Harm no one. Do no damage. Only use force in defense of yourself or those who stand with you. Use the RICO Act. Seize all of their property. And then you know what you do with those billions and trillions of dollars? Well, there's 1 million of you and your friends. That costs money to get to Washington. Pay yourselves a salary. Cover your expenses. Hire yourselves with the money you've taken back, which is yours anyway. These criminals, so-called, need to be put on trial. They need to be investigated. Well, you know what? There's 150 million unemployed Americans. There are judges who could use jobs. There are attorneys who could use jobs. There are investigators, criminal investigators who could use jobs. Hire them with the money that you've seized from our masters, which is ours anyway. Well, once you hire those people, money is now back into the economy. They need to buy food, they need to buy clothes, they need dry cleaning. Money is then flowing into the economy because now we have to hire grocers and drivers and mechanics and florists, and your children need to go back to school, so we need teachers. The schools need to be fixed, so we need construction people. Our roads are pretty much gone. Our highways are gone. Our sewer system is gone. Our electrical infrastructure barely exists. We need to hire people to fix all that. Well, once we have our money back under the RICO Act, while these criminals, our masters, are on trial, we put our own people back to work. We can put 100 million people back to work with the money that's been stolen from us. By the way, before you and a million of your closest personal friends, all with guns, all showing in public, nothing is concealed. Hide the Constitution, but carry your gun out where everybody can see it. Before you leave for Washington, call your cousin, your uncle, your aunt. Say, oh, by the way, could you get together a million of your closest personal friends and wander over to New York, go down to Wall Street, start arresting the criminals there? Citizens arrest. Peaceful. No violence. Only use your gun to defend yourself. Never attack. Hurt no one. Be respectful, be courteous. Follow the Constitution. Follow the law. Well, as a side note, you might also consider wandering over to the Pentagon and say, hi, we would like you, very respectfully ask, to return all of the American troops to the United States. We'd like you to close down all 167, I forget how many, it's hard to tell, military bases, U.S. military bases all over the world. We'd like you very politely ask, close down all these military bases, stop all these wars, bring everybody home. And anyone who refuses this very polite request of the American people, arrest them. Pretty simple. Contact the troops and say, look, this is the deal. We've taken our country back. It's up to you what you want to do. Do you want to stay there and fight wars, or do you want to come home and take back our country? Peacefully, respectfully, under the laws of the Constitution of the United States of America. No violence unless someone attacks you. And then only use the amount of force required to stop them. Follow the law. Places you might want to visit, you and a million of your close personal friends, all with guns. CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Pretty safe to bet. It's a pretty safe bet that anybody who works for the CIA is guilty. Simply arrest them. The NSA, arrest them. If you can get into the facility, there's something called Echelon, which is the coordinating effort of all the major black operations security agencies. Arrest everybody there. Don't forget our personal friends at the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a privately owned offshore corporation. Arrest everyone there. Go to the IRS offices in town. Arrest everyone there. Go to Homeland Security. Arrest everyone there. And don't forget those fine, upstanding people at the airport, TSA. Arrest them all. Now you begin to see how we can recover, stimulate our economy. First, we identify the fact that we have been robbed by criminals. Bankers, brokers, politicians. You now see that under the laws of the United States of America, the constitutional republic, we have the right to defend ourselves against all enemies, foreign and domestic. There are laws governing the treatment of prisoners. Follow them. The RICO Act allows us to seize our money back. And now we have to hire ourselves and all these other people to try these criminals. And in doing so, money is flowing into the economy. Again, the money that's missing today did not vanish. It didn't leave the planet. It didn't cease to exist. It's being hoarded by our masters. There's so much money, they don't know what to do with all of it. They physically don't have the space to store it. It's ours. Take it back. Now, for you folks in the UK and in Israel, you have to make your own decisions. I personally have not read the Magna Carta since I was young, so I have no idea what laws apply in the UK or Israel. It's up to you. But once we take control of what Reagan called the axis of evil, the United States, Great Britain, and Israel, once we actually take back our countries, the rest of the world, the bankers in the rest of the world, are going to be so scared. They're going to be so terrified of what their own people will do that they will vomit up all the money they stole instantly. And they'll do it before their own people start to hunt them down. All of a sudden, depression's over. People are working, they're paying their rent, they're buying food, they're buying cars, they're buying shoes, children are going to school. Roads are being repaired. There's money in the economy. And it's not bad luck that we're here. Somebody pulled a gun on us and stole our money. Somebody stole our money out of our bank accounts and out of our salaries. Someone taxes us and steals the money. Our bankers, our masters, had a word for this 20, 30 years ago. They called it racketeering. Well, guess what? They're the racketeers. The bankers should be put on trial for racketeering, stealing from innocent people. The politicians, they should be put on trial for treason. And you know what? There will really, at that point, be a new world order. Problem for our masters is, it's our world. We took it back. And yeah, absolutely, we put it into order. The ancient Celts had a saying, a belief, a wish, a dream, a prayer for their friends or for beloved strangers. And I understand it every day a little better now, and I share it with you. May you live as long as you wish. May you love as long as you live. For the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel finding his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.